Welcome to Today at Keeneland. It is day 11 of the Keeneland Spring Meet, and we're in line for another fantastic day out here in the Commonwealth. We've got 9 races on tab for you, a great mix. We've got a really nice allowance race, which is the feature, and we also have a 2-year-old race as well. We had 2 2-year-old races yesterday, Gabby. It was Wesley Ward dominating both of them, but yesterday a great day of racing. We had over 11,800 people join us out here at the track. That's almost 1,500 more than the same day in 2018.
Wow, and I believe it because it seemed very crowded here yesterday. We had a beautiful, beautiful afternoon, and it looks like we're going to get the same type of conditions here today. And taking a look at some of the winners yesterday, we saw, of course, Chelly Patine and Nia Beth, the 2-year-old winners, Carpe Diem, the stallion, getting his first winner, but also Honey Bunny. I thought that was an exciting win on the day.
And you pointed out in the simulcast show that she'll be pointed towards the winning colors Grade 3 event at Churchill Downs at the end of May. So we will be rooting for her most certainly after those 2 victories here at Keeneland. But what's going on in the jockey standing, jockey and trainer standing, something we haven't really had a chance to visit?
Right. So there's only 6 racing days left here at Keeneland, and Joel Rosario actually got a pair on yesterday's program. He's kind of gaining momentum. Right now, as it stands, Javier Castellano has 14 wins. Joel Rosario has 11, and then Florent Giroux is in third with 9. But Javier Castellano has relocated his tack back to New York. So I would think that Joel Rosario is going to catch up to him very quickly. And in the trainer standings, we have Chad Brown with 6 wins, Wesley Ward with 5, and Brad Cox with 5 too. So that's going to be a tight race to the finish with 6 racing days remaining.
We'll keep track of that for you here in these final 6 days of racing. But don't forget, as it was yesterday, $1 hot dog day, as well as half-price beers. That promotion runs until 2 o'clock, and it's at any concession stand, so do take advantage of that if you're joining us out here today for another glorious day of racing here at Keeneland. Let's talk weather, and for that, we go to WKYT.
Hey everyone, it's meteorologist Jim Caldwell here at the WKYT First Alert Weather Center, and today looks pretty good for us again at the track. We're going to be tracking dry conditions again. Temperatures running through the 70s. Today, you'll have clouds around much like yesterday. If you were out and about, you'll see those temperatures hovering in the upper 70s for peak heating hours. What might happen toward the end, some of the later races, there might be a little more cloud cover that gets in here. Some of that might be housing some showers off in the distance. I think we're mainly on the dry side, but we'll certainly at least keep a watch out to those western skies for further development. Looks a lot worse, though, on Friday and Saturday. Very dreary and just wet track conditions overall. Good luck out there.
All right, so with the conditions that's expected this weekend, come out today. It is going to be perfect. And if you see me looking up or if you see me go under the desk to broadcast this show, you'll still hear my voice. We've got 2 friends that have joined us. 2 birds have joined us
Lightning
right now.
doesn't strike twice in the
Yeah,
same
right.
place.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Right?
You've now cinched it. Let's talk handicap for picks for the entire card for this 9-race card. Let's see where we line up. And again, it looks like the early part of the card, we're pretty in line, and then we go our separate ways right around, well, the late pick 3. We're in line for the start of the late pick 4 in race 6.
Pretty much. And Keith Scratch in race 1 with the number 4 Examiner, who I know you liked, I liked as well. So we both land on the number 2 there. 2-2 for us in the first 2 races. And then beyond that, it looks like a little bit of a mix-up here. But I thought a very challenging program today, and different types of racing, whether it be claiming, allowance racing. Each race, I think, offers a tremendous betting opportunity.
Race number 8 is the feature. It's an A-then allowance race, which we'll get to in just a second. But if you want to give us a follow on social media, Twitter at Keeneland Racing, that's our handle. On Facebook at Keeneland, same on Instagram. And then you can check out Today at Keeneland in HD on the Watch TVG app on TVG2. If you don't have access to TVG2 on your cable or satellite provider, get that Watch TVG app. It's accessible on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, as well as Apple TV. You can also check out TVG in HD as well on the Watch TVG app. But now let's get to race number 8, which is our featured allowance race. A few scratches. The 1 is out. Also take out Cape Rosso, the 6, as well as G19, the number 11 horse, and a wide open field. You've got 2 horses at 4-1 on the morning line, Fooch and Get Western, in this tough event.
Yeah, I would imagine Fooch might go off as the favorite. It's Wesley Ward. It's Johnny Velazquez. And he had a flashy win 2 starts back against maiden $40,000 types. But, whereas Guess Western, he's kind of maintained going longer distances, so he's a question mark at 5.5.
I like the 3. This is where I go on Master Gun. This is a Guns, rather. This is a Not for Love gelding who has this year raced at Oaklawn Park. Now, there's no turf course at Oaklawn Park, and they stretched him out to a mile last time out. Mac Robertson, his trainer, brings him up here to Keeneland to get him back on grass and back here on this turf course. Let's roll back his last turf event. It was back in the fall here at Keeneland. He sat from well off the pace and rallied late. He ends up beating 5 lengths, but he ends up finishing second in this race. Mr. Maestro is a horse that beat him. Mr. Maestro just beat Fooch in his last race at Keeneland. In fact, this is the exact same race that we take you to. Fooch ends up finishing 4th in here. I love the move back to turf. Clearly, it should work out for him, and he gets a lot of speed in here, and a lot of the speed. I had an epiphany. This is something that I never thought of before. We always come up, I think, with new handicapping angles each and every day if you're in the sport long enough. A lot of the speed is layoff speed. So maybe that layoff catches up with them and aids Master Guns, who has run as of late. So I really like Master Guns a lot today to spring what will, I think, be a mild upset. I wouldn't be surprised if he hovers around 5 or 6 to 1.
Yeah, layoff speed and dirt speed. I mean, there are some horses who are getting to the turf like the 2 Iona Moby for the first time, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that speed is going to translate. I agree with the premise of going against the favorites in here with both Fooch and Get Western. I landed on the number 8, Get Your Mind Right, for trainer Stephen Lister. This horse has only had one start on the turf, and that was going against Stakes Company, where he kind of opened up on the field and couldn't sustain that speed going the mile. He was beaten by Gadoo, who looked like a really talented horse at the time, but he has since turned back in distance, and we'll show you the race last time out at Turfway Park. And I actually think that he's got the pedigree to suggest he'll be fine sprinting on the turf. He clearly showed that he was at least semi-capable on the turf before in the past, but he was very game down on the inside. And what I liked about this race in particular, sometimes, Turfway Park maiden special weights are hit or miss, but we saw 3 next out winners in this maiden special weight. 2 of them went on to win maiden special weights, and one of them dropped in for the maiden claiming tag, but it was a very strong race for the level, and I think he can use that as momentum on the turf today.
It's a great race. We look forward to it. Race number 8, post time 4:57 Eastern. Let's find out more about one of the favorites through our man Tom Leach.
The allowance feature today features Fooch from the Wesley Ward stable. This one hadn't been out since last October. How's he doing?
He's doing really good. He should have a good showing.
Tell me what you are hoping to do with him this year.
He's eligible for a lot this year, so we're hoping to get through the first condition and carry it from there. But he's done very, very well. Maybe just a tad short, just because we had a little tough winter here at Keeneland, but looks like he's going to be up for it. And 5.5 on the grass, and that's his go.
A lot of speed, but can he sit off if he needs to a little bit?
Yeah, he's very versatile. He's a really smart horse. He's getting older now and seasoned, so I think he'll have a big chance.
Let me ask you about a couple of 2-year-olds you have on the Thursday card. I think it's the second race, Joker on Jack and Snake River Road. Anything special about either one of those?
Snake River Road was probably going to come out of the race, and Joker on Jack's going to have a really good chance. He's done everything right so far with his training. He breaks sharp, and he's had a bunch of work, so he's fit enough to go. And looks like we'll have a good chance tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
So Wesley Ward, Fooch, his horse in the allowance feature today.
So great information there from Wesley, thanks to Tom Leach. And Snake River Red is a scratch out of race number 2. Joker on Jack is a go in that second race. And that's where I take you with my first key race analysis. This is the 2-year-old maiden race. Does start the early pick 4. You can see those scratches. Also take out the 1A, Alcools, as well as Snell, Joker on Jack, 5-2. Ragtag is the morning line favorite, the 4-horse for Todd Pletcher, who is my second choice. I'm going to 2 Dot, who gets the rail for John Hancock. This is a horse that ran a good second coming from off the pace in that Lady Pauline race. Lady Pauline, if you don't remember, she's the half to Lady Aurelia, who was so impressive. I think it's a flip of the coin between her and Neabeth after that performance yesterday, moving forward to Royal Ascot for the both of them. But 2 Dot, let's go back to that debut race, had post position number 10, so gets post relief, and you can see how wide this horse is. And at this point, it's so difficult to win if you're in that spot. So this is going to be a good experience for this colt moving forward. And the fact that he's able to finish second, that's Lady Pauline out on the front end, just tugging away. But this stretch run is encouraging for John Hancock and his owner, Charlie Brown. So we'll see if this horse is able to take a step forward. Obviously, he needs to break a little bit sharper, but that experience goes a long way in any aspect of life, and especially in sports. So we'll see, I think, 2 Dot take a step forward here today, and I think that Ragtag will take a vast majority of the money, as will the Wesley horse. So we should get solid value on 2 Dot in race number 2.
I agree with you on this race, and it was a point that we were talking about yesterday with the 2-year-old races. The way they break is generally how they finish. Just because it's 4.5 furlongs, you don't necessarily need to be the fittest, you need to be the fastest. And the fact that 2 Dot could manage to kind of make up ground and close late, I thought was a very encouraging first-time performance.
All right, we're gonna roll along. We're gonna roll through this early pick 4. So if you're playing the early pick 4, take some notes. Gabby takes us to race number 3. Look how wide open this race is. Your highest price is 15-1, but the separation in the other 5 5-1 down to 5-2.
It's a tricky race, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. We go from a 4.5 2-year-old dirt sprint to a 1.5-mile turf race. That just goes to show you the versatility that is on this card today. And the biggest question is who will show up. A lot of the time I approach these 1.5-mile races, class on the grass. Class always prevails. And I think the class of the race is the number 4, Finesse Bear, for trainer Brendan Walsh. I loved the appearance of this filly last time out. She just had the look of class. She looked like she was really tuned in to her last race, at least prior to it. They just went so slow in front of her, and I think she just has a feel of a horse that should be suitable at 1.5 miles, or at least longer distances than 1.16 miles. We'll show you her last race, where she did finish 3rd behind Fool's Gold and Southern Sis. You can see she's kind of bottled up in behind horses there. But once she finally gets clear and room to run, she kind of kicks on from there. But by that point in time, Fool's Gold, who was the winner of the race, a Chad Brown runner, just simply got the jump on her. So I think she's going to be more forwardly placed at the 1.5 miles, and she is who I prefer. But it is a tricky race because the distance is definitely unknown. I mean, I thought you could even make a case for the 6 Vivina, who at least has tried 1.5 miles, but unsuccessfully.
Well, the pedigree is there for Finesse Bear, and there's pedigree for a lot of these horses, and I'll take you to this race at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that for my key race angle in race number 3. But as far as a key race analysis, let's move on to race number 4. This is a maiden 20 for 3 and up, going 7 furlongs. This race does not have any scratches in it, and again, another wide open event. You've got a 7-2 second choice. View Magic is the 3-1 morning line favorite for Eddie Keneally, and that's where I go. I feel like I've picked every horse that Keneally has run this meet, and he's yet to win. So if you talk to him, please don't tell him that. I think he's probably aware at this point because his wife has reminded me time and time again. But at some point, we are going to get Eddie into the winner's circle, and I think it comes today in this 4th race. He claimed this gelding out of the race in which we're going to show you at Fairgrounds on March 7th, where he showed speed. Let's go ahead and roll it, and here it is. He showed speed. That's him out on the front end, the gray son of Tappet. And then he gets gobbled up. He's beaten 9.5 lengths. But this was his first try in for a tag. It was clearly the best race of his career. It was his first time routing. And so they cuts back in distance today. Eddie Keneally claimed this horse for himself and will be going 7 furlongs. If he can flash that same sort of speed from the inside, which I would expect him to be able to, I think he can outbreak Brilliant Decision, the number 2, as well as Storm Rider. I think Eddie's in a prime spot to pick up the first win on the meet in race number 4 with View Magic. A lot of angles to use. Cut back in distance. Showed speed first time in for a tag. They keep him in for a tag, and Eddie Keneally first off the claim. He wins at a 30% strike rate.
And he is listed as a gelding today, so they probably claimed him, gave him some time, gelded him. He is a son of Tappet. He showed speed. I mean, trying to get into the mind of the trainer, it seems like it's an encouraging move that they step him up to the $20,000 level. So, yeah, I definitely – and 3 Twins. The winner actually came back to step up to 40,000 non-2 condition, and he was 3rd. So the winner held his form in his next start.
All right, let's get Keneally in the winner's circle in race number 4. That's the goal. If we achieve one thing today, I want it to be that. Race number 5, another other than allowance race. That's where you go for your next key race analysis. And, I mean, again, look at this morning line. Your longest shot is Galavie on the outside at 8-1.
I know. This is a very, very good race. It's 1 mile on the turf for this first level allowance. And I wanted to show the 5 Moravia. This is a filly that I've been waiting to see run for quite some time. I can remember that she was entered in the Jessamine last fall for Jorge Abreu. This was her last race, though, that she ran in the Group 3 over at Leopardstown. And this actually proved to be a very strong race. She finished second behind Skitter Scatter, who went on to win a Group 1 at the Curragh and even a Group 2. So that race has really, really held form and has been significant in Ireland. And she obviously ran very well in this. But going back to, she was entered in the Jessamine, and I actually talked to Jorge Abreu, her trainer, yesterday in the paddock because he was paddock schooling her. And he said that unfortunately she came up with a minor shin issue the morning of the race, and he had to scratch her. He ultimately had to give her time, and he's happy that he did that because she raced a lot as a 2-year-old. And he said that the physical maturity and development that he's seen from 2 to 3 has been, vast. It's been very impressive. So I think her European form just walks over the rest of this field.
Yeah, and even go back to her first race. She was fourth, beaten 2 1/4 to Fairyland, who was a really, really nice 2-year-old for Coolmore, and that was at Nace. So, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to like Moravia. I think I failed there in that race by leaving that horse off my ticket.
Well, that's why I'm here, Scott.
And I like the backtrack from Ireland. Love the European racing. So that's race number 5. That's our key race analysis here for this Thursday card. Let's dive into the Clocker report. We've got 2 horses to take a look at. Actually, 1 horse to take a look at. There is a scratch from our previous Clocker report, so I apologize for that. It's race number 9. Tune in on the 26th of March. 47-3, second best of 9. Sharp Effort has a couple of stamina builders, and Brad Cox, 21% with first-time starters. So in race number 9, the nightcap, take a look at Tune In, especially if you're playing that late pick 5 or late pick 4. Multi-race exotics, early pick 5, that starts with race number 1. We both today are going to turn our attentions to the late pick 4. And Gabby, you have the honors, starting with race number 6.
That's right. And I did include that horse in the Clocker report in today's finale because I thought it was a very perplexing race. $36 is going to be the play for me. It starts 6 furlongs on the main track for a maiden $100,000 claiming event. 3, 4, 5 will do it for me. I do prefer the 4 Bourbon Girl. She is 10-1 on the morning line for Stephen Lister. She's coming in off of a layoff where she was well defeated, but it was going against the likes of Kofefe, who we saw come back for Brad Cox very impressively. But I will also use the 3 Bertadas Bay, who's dropping in class for Wesley Ward, and the number 5 Urban Insight, who too is dropping in class for Maiden Special Weight Company last time out during the fall at Churchill. Race 7 is the spread race using 4 horses with the 1, 2, 5, and the 7. The 2 double oaked 10-1 on the morning line is my top pick because her most recent dirt races are fast enough, if not faster than the favorite, the 5 British Invader, who's first off the claim for Tom Amos. That's a strong angle, can't leave him out. And then the 7, so our Aristocratic, I'm going to be using as well. So 4 deep there in race 8, just using 2 with the number 4 Fooch. And my top pick, the number 8, Get Your Mind Right for Stephen Lister. Again, that was the spotlight that we just showed at Turfway Park. She's going to be my top pick. And then we get to race 9, the finale, 3, 6, 8. The 3, Tune In, is that first-time starter for trainer Brad Cox. The 6, Solo Drink, I think makes sense. He's kind of an unknown on the dirt, but he is dropping in class from his turf and synthetic races. And then the 8, Joker Delish for Jeremiah Englehart. Last time this horse was on the dirt, he was facing Maiden Special Weight Company at Laurel. So the blinkers go on, drops in class, and he actually could be the main speed. So that is a look at the late pick 4.
I will spend a bit more money. I'll go 3 deep in each of these races, $40.50. In race 6, British Bay, that is my top selection for Wesley Ward. Any one of her races I think is good enough to win against this group today. But then you've got Bourbon Girl for Stephen Lister off the layoff. If she can get back to her debut at Ella, she'll be tough. And referencing that Kofefe race, that was tough company to keep. And then the 5-horse Urban Insight for Charlie Lepresti, another one. I think any one of her races is good enough to beat this group as she dips down into this $100,000 level, which, to be fair, is not that big of a drop in class. When we normally reference a drop from a maiden special weight to a maiden claimer, we always say it's the biggest drop in racing. I think in a situation like this, it is not as exaggerated. Race number 7, go with the 4, 5, and 7, Valkyrie for Louis Cotto, in from Turfway Park. I think that those races fit against this group. You've got the number 5 horse just to her outside, British Invader for Tom Amos. First off the claim, he strikes at such a high percent, 30%, and he claims a lot of horses, and he's got a positive ROI. So he wins when he claims horses, and he does a lot of winning for Maggie Moss, who owns this filly. So watch out for her in race number 7. And then the 7 horse, just 2 slots over, So Aristocratic for Ron Marquette. Those races down at Oaklawn Park have to be respected, and she's got some solid speed from that outside draw to contend. Race number 8, 2, 3, and 4. That's the featured race. Iona Moby for Brian Lynch, trying grass for the first time. By Into Mischief Offspring. They win at a 14% clip on the grass course. Then you've got the 3 horse just to her outside, the one that I like so much. I think it sets up for him, and getting back to grass is going to be key for Mastered Guns. And then the number 4 horse, Fooch for Wesley Ward, back sprinting off that 6-month layoff. We'll see if Johnny V can get his man into the winner's circle again. And then in race number 9, 3, 5, and 7, the 3 tune in for Brad Cox. There's that first-time starter that our Clocker Report likes. The number 5 horse, Wild Road for Dallas Stewart. It just might be his turn to win at this level. He's could be the favorite in this spot. I would expect so. He's not been favored, and these conditions are revolving doors. Once you get the faster horses go through that door and graduate onto non-1 as a 2 company, then it essentially becomes who's next in line. And I think it's Wild Road's day today. And then Ogre's Cat, the number 7 horse for Eddie Keneally, coming out of those 12-5 races. Again, it might just be his turn as he shows up here on this scene. So it's a really nice late pick 4 sequence, because I don't think we're going to see heavy favorites. I mean, I would imagine the favorites are going to hover around, say, 2 to 3 to 1, 2 to 1 at the absolute lowest.
As I said at the top of the show, I thought today's card was really, really challenging. But if you're right, you could be making a lot of money. That's always good.
All right, best angle.
Yeah.
The opener, race 1. We are closing in on post time for this opener.
I think this is a very tricky race. We have the likes of the number 7, Talent Scout, who in his debut faced the likes of Cool Bobby, who has been good since then, maiden special weight at Santa Anita. That was in October of 2017. What do we make of this horse now coming back for the $50,000 tag? So I will approach this race with a horse who has been relatively consistent, and that's going to be the number 2, Wild About Candy, for trainer Paul McGee. We'll show you a replay back at Churchill of November of last year, where he did get the win. This is for maiden 40,000. And he won this race easily. He was forwardly placed under Julian Leparoux, who's back aboard today. He did everything right to get this win. But since then, they stepped him up in class. Allowance Company, sprinting on the turf at the fairgrounds. They brought him back to the main track and faced Allowance Company on the dirt. I just don't think that this horse is good enough at the first level allowance field. So I think the step back down to reality, back down to a claiming tag, I think is very realistic. And I am just approaching this race with, I thought some of the horses that would take money are a bit vulnerable, and I think this horse makes sense dropping from Allowance Company.
I love playing across the board. That's what I'm going to do with my best angle of the day. Race number 3, I promised I'd take you back there in this 2 other than allowance race going 1.5 miles. I respect Finesse Bear. There's no question that she is the horse to beat and will be the favorite, and I don't think that the distance is going to be an issue. But Twin Channel, the number 2 horse, is by English Channel out of a Galileo mare. That's distance on top of distance as far as pedigree. So the step up and trip is going to be to her liking. And as we roll back this backtrack just 13 days ago, rather, here on opening week, you can see early on she's just simply trying to be hustled away from there, but she's put herself in a spot now where she's chasing a quick pace, and that's not going to be her game today. She's not going to be forced to use this sort of speed going this distance today, and this ends up being a pretty decent race for her to hang around. So the circumstances of this race versus today are going to be more to her liking. I hope that she is forward, and again, I don't think that Johnny McKee is going to have to use her all that much. So a 5 across on this filly by English Channel in race number 3. I think that the step up and trip is going to be something that allows her to finally be at her best and not be forced to be in almost a sprinter situation.
Right.
I mean, those mile races are, I don't want to say they're sprints, but they essentially are in many ways.
You have to be on the engine the entire time, whereas 1.5 miles, you have the ability to have a little bit of a breather.
So that's race number 3. Those are our key race angles. Wild About Candy for Gabby in the opener, and then for me, Twin Channel in race number 3. As far as Tom Leach's pick of the day, he's going to go to the nightcap, and he is looking at a price horse in here. That is the number 8, Joker D. Lish. Don't forget the Lish. Drops out of straight maiden races and showed speed in the last dirt race, and improvement off that effort could win here today for Jeremiah O'Dwyer. So well beaten last time out, first time in for a tag. He will run his best race today, right, with the biscuit in the saddle?
Yeah. Oh, I picked him. I think he's really the horse to beat now. Dropping, showed speed, blinkers go on. I think he's going to try to wire the field. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the as advertised 8-1 because of the scratches in there. There was a 9-2 shot in there and a 12-1. 30-1 probably doesn't affect the odds, but I do think with the scratch of the 9-2, those odds are going to come down a little bit. But if we can get him home, a win's a win.
We're at Wagering Central. This is the home of the Betologist, as you can see behind us on the signage. They're going to have a couple of seminars today if you want to come over here if you're on track. At 12:15, Betology 101, basic single race bets. So for you starters, as far as first-time starters coming out to the track, come over here at 12:15, and then a little bit more advanced seminar at 12:45, Betology 201. I think we're probably upper level classes at this point, right, in our lives.
It's always good to have a refresher, though.
That's true. That's true.
Brings you back down to reality.
It does.
You have to be.
You need that. You have been out of control.
You have to be humble in this game.
You need to be knocked down a couple of pegs. I was disappointed in you yesterday. You didn't go for a hot dog. I thought you'd average at least $1.50 on these dollar hot dog days.
No, I know. I got to get back at it. I've been a little under the weather, so I don't feel like a hot dog would help me heal.
Maybe
it will.
Chicken and corn chowder. That's the soup of the day here today. We hope you join us today. It's going to be great racing. It's going to be a great atmosphere, as it always is out here at Keeneland, and we anticipate great weather throughout the day. For Tom Leach, Gabby Gaudette, the entire team here on Today at Keeneland, I'm Scott Hazelton. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy your race day here in the Commonwealth.
Horatio, Claude, you guys know what I love about Bud Light? It's brewed with 4 ingredients: hops, barley, water, and rice in all their glory. And no corn syrup, artificial flavors, or preservatives. Just this beer.
Sorry.
There for the entire world to see. Stripped down to its bare essence. Put some pants on! Sorry.
Bud Light, no corn syrup, no preservatives, and no artificial flavors.
We're here at Toyota Motor Manufacturer in Kentucky.
This is Toyota's largest manufacturing facility in the world.
Let's go take a look.
Come on.
Toyota has invested over $8 billion in this plant alone, producing over 11 million vehicles.
It's all part of Toyota's commitment to the beautiful state of Kentucky.
Helping to create jobs for nearly 25,000 people. You gotta love that.
Toyota Camry, built in the USA.
Toyota, let's go places.
Keeneland welcomes the Georgetown Community Singers under the direction of Amy Kincaid to the paddock. Since 1974, the Georgetown Community Singers have been delighting audiences in central Kentucky through music and song. Their spring concert, titled Sing On, will take place April 30th, 7 p.m. at Scott County High School. First, My Old Kentucky Home.